And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made from the White House.
Challenger, only seconds after leaving the launch pad, according to NASA, has exploded.
It just has the same seats that a normal car has. It's literally a normal car in space.
And we're going back to the moon, and this time back to stay.
I should tell you that the first mission is scheduled to land on Mars on July the 4th, 1997.
We will undertake extended human missions to the moon as early as 2015.
We launched a new spacecraft as part of a re-energized space program that will send America.
We plant our flag and leave our footprint for an eventual mission to Mars.
What you're seeing here is a mirage. It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The one thing globe believers need to understand is that you don't just take the spinning ball Earth and flatten it out and put it back in the heliocentric sphere planet and it's flat and the rest of the planets are round. No flat earther has ever said that. No flat earther will ever say that because it's not what we believe. The Earth isn't a pancake floating in outer space, and you will never hear a flat earther say that. And if you would ever actually take the time to study it for yourself or hear a flat earther through, then you would find that it's much different and things would actually make more sense.
They've got the narrative controlled to where anyone that goes to search for this, they're going to see pancakes floating up in space, you know, and it turns people away. Or they see a snow globe out in the middle of space with water falling off the sides, and they're like, what is this? It turns them away. The mainstream agenda was to push their false narrative, all these hit pieces on flat Earth. 2016, 2017, that was pretty much the end of the YouTube era, where we could actually find real evidence, real, content. Any search engine, the algorithms are suited to their favor. You're going to see all the hit pieces. You're going to see all the stuff that's there to debunk flat Earth. So it's just, it's almost impossible to get the real information.
YouTube played
a major campaign by Google and YouTube and all of these corporate lying companies to discredit the flat Earth. Why do they have that disclaimer under every video dealing with the topic of flat Earth, that it is an archaic, antiquated, outdated model that the ancients used to believe in? Of course, the ancients were stupid. They didn't know how to build Gothic cathedrals, and they didn't know how to build cities and pyramids.
The problem is, people that think that flat Earth is stupid think flat Earth is stupid because they're thinking of a stupid flat Earth. And they ridicule and make fun of flat earthers. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Since 2015, the content providers for flat Earth have had a living hell. We have been ridiculed, we have been trolled, we have been censored beyond belief by YouTube. It's really difficult to get the truth out there.
YouTube controls the algorithm. Who owns YouTube? Google. These are these big corporations that came in and said, the flat Earth is getting way too big. People are finding this out. We don't want them to find this out. This will just completely destroy our agenda that we've worked so hard for. We're losing it because of our own technology that we created. So they had to get involved. Withholding information and knowledge is a form of control.
Now, for new people coming into the subject, if you research flat Earth, the Google analytic will give you government hate propaganda against the flat Earth truth.
If you go to Google and try to find anything, you'd first of all get to that page, you'd see these ridiculous accusations and this spinning disc illusion that's going upwards in space that I can assure you nobody believes in. Until somebody walks in with a load of shit on you, everything's fine until somebody out there has evidence that's going to prove you guilty. And that's what these trolls are on social media, and of course, the algorithms.
That globe believers come at you with is we've known for 2,000 years. Aristophanes figured it out with his sticks and shadows. Well, Aristophanes may or may not have been a real mathematician. He figured out the shape of the Earth. That would have made him the Michael Jordan of mathematicians, but nobody ever mentioned him in a book until the mid-1900s.
What's crazy is I've talked to some elderly people, and they've told me that back in their day when they were in school, they didn't even learn about people like Copernicus or Galileo. Everything's up for grabs at this point. People like Christopher Columbus and any other figure in history could be totally false or created just for some sort of agenda.
This is everywhere. We found somebody in Croatia. They said they were teaching flat earth through the 1930s.
Most people think that this flat earth versus globe earth has been going back and forth for thousands of years. No, it has not. This is a brand new deception. They come up with these stories, these fictional stories, fictional characters, to reinforce that we live on a ball.
All of our globe provers, Galileo, Aristophanes, Copernicus, the pictures of them show that they're Masons, but I contend that we don't even know if they're real. All of our history is a lie. I've met people that said that they were taught flat earth in the early 1960s in school. They were taught flat earth and globe earth, and then it kind of just went away. I interviewed Ruth, a 102-year-old woman, back in February of 2020, and she was taught flat earth in public school in Connecticut.
Tell me your name.
Ruth Heath.
Ruth, and how old are you today?
102.
102. So you were born in
1918.
1918. And we were just talking, and I asked you what shape the Earth is, and what did you say? What were you taught in school in elementary school?
I was taught in school that the Earth was flat.
Where did you go to school? Elementary school?
I went to Sprugeland School in Hamden, Connecticut.
So how does it make you feel to realize that you were right as a kid?
It makes me feel better.
It does make you feel better, right?
Oh, it makes me feel alive.
Oh my God, that is so true. My whole life, I believe, what I was taught.
That's
and then
right.
when I discovered the flat earth.
I feel better about it.
Because we are the center of creation.
That's right.
We are important.
That's right.
We are here.
We are God's children. And when all the problems that are happening in this world today.
I'll give you some good news. A lot of the problems that they report on the news aren't even real.
That's right. That's right.
They're just keeping us in fear.
Keeping up. That's right. That's right. That's right. I understand that. I understand. They just say what they want people to know.
That we never went to the moon? That was all fake?
Is that right?
That's correct.
I saw that all happening.
Yeah, so did I, and we all believed it, but that was just to reinforce that people to believe they can live on a ball, they can walk on a ball.
It's such a lie.
It's such a lie, but knowing the lie is like going to a magic show.
I woke up.
Yes. That's what we call it. We call it red. This is your moment of waking up. It's when you go to see a magician and you know how the tricks are done, and the magic no longer works on you, and you're free from the illusion. So knowing this is going to free your heart.
Cry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It makes me cry.
Happiness.
Yes.
Tears of joy.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, give me a hug. Here we go. All right.
Rockefeller seems to have a role in this. He started the General Education Board and continued being involved with the educational system. The fact of the matter is, the people that have been in control, they're in control now, and they're going to continue to be in control, whether they pass it down or change the name, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, whenever Rockefeller's name is tied to something, it's always something to question, that's for sure.
That's a huge red flag for me, that they can come in and change everything we know, all of history, and turn it into deception, and keep teaching the deception over and over and over again until it becomes the norm.
Nation of thinkers. This was the same person who was found guilty of antitrust violations around the turn of the 20th century. As long as you push these textbooks, as long as you push the...
This should tell you something, why we can't talk about, literally, the thing that we're standing on. Why is that?
knowing that there is a creator, absolutely. That is one of the main reasons to hide this. But, you know, at the same time, it's nowhere near comparison when 1 billion people find out that there's more land.
It's about hidden land. I think there's possible they could be hiding land in here somewhere with us. And I think that the Antarctica Treaty is very, very, very sinister, and there must be something else going on.
They went really, really, really tough with their implementation of the Antarctic Treaty and everything else, and just to keep people away from the truth. They didn't want people to know about more land.
Haven't we been fighting over land forever? Isn't that what always happens? Countries fighting over land, but not on the outskirts of Antarctica. Oh, no, no, no. No fighting there. They're all in agreement. You can't go there. You can't explore any of it.
That treaty was in effect in 1959. It can't even be questioned until the year 2041. The longest lasting treaty that all of the world signed on to at the same time and is still in place. Antarctica is the container of our world oceans. What is beyond Antarctica? Why is the government hiding Antarctica from us? Why is Antarctica completely off limits except for taking a tour of a little peninsula off of South America, which is nothing? And people go, well, you can go to Antarctica.
We spent months trying to actually do it. Yeah. I was going to send a crew. They won't call back. You can't even go there. There's one peninsula where you look at penguins.
Exactly. And then you think, I have some friends that went to fucking South Pole. Yeah. They put them in that little fucking island with penguins. You can't just
saying you went to Antarctica and you walked around it. He's like being in New Jersey and saying you were chilling in California. It's fucking huge.
There's about 100 different companies that you can spend a lot of money to go on a little guided tour of just that peninsula, but all of those companies are owned under one umbrella. One person controls them all. They don't let anybody explore Antarctica.
Will be a fucking international headline in about 5 minutes. Australian Navy ship shoots it.
Facing our way. Bad boys, shield.
Is it?
The turret is turning our way.
The turret's turning at us.
Boy, we should hide Adrian in case they think we're hiding. We're just traversing. Is there a helicopter coming at us now? Are we allowed? I don't know. Just travel. Just go.
Just go.
Send out the chopper.
That's a drone.
Is it? That's unreal.
When people say, why the lie? One of the main answers is they're hiding more land.
What if we can truly become free? The whole reason for this is because of more land. Because think about it. If there's more real estate, if there's more resources, natural resources, if there's more food for our starving children, if there's more space, more room for us to get away from the child sex trafficking, if there's places where we can go and other civilizations we can be a part of, where they don't charge you for water, they don't charge you for free energy, they don't charge you for property taxes. What if there is more land?
Nobody can go explore Antarctica, period. Because if humanity found out there's more land, then the heliocentric theory is gone. They can't start adding more continents on the bottom of a ball. It's just, they wanted it silenced right away.
There is evidence out there through old maps, namely the 1,000-year-old Japanese Kawabashi map, which shows continents and lands outwardly of what they call the ice shelf or the ice wall.
So why are they teaching the globe model? Well, you see, the globe is a container, and it's a container of all the known land. The Jesuits and the Freemasons, they needed a new model because They wanted a new world order.
Because right now on a ball or in a snow globe, there's only 7 continents. That's all there is. So everything is very limited. We have a limited supply.
Resources are very scarce because the Earth is a globe, right? It's cut off. Everything's cut off. If you open it up and there is more land, then there's plenty of resources. More land means more resources. Well, that's huge if they're hiding something like that. There's a scene in The Truman Show where Truman is like, I want to be an explorer when I get older.
I like to be an explorer, like the Great Magellan. Oh, you're too late. There's really nothing left to explore.
Imagine if there's like all these beautiful places to explore still, and finding out that there's all this land, it just opens up the door for discovery again.
Have you ever heard of the eyewitness testimony written in the books, The Iron Republic, The Smoky God, Worlds Beyond the Poles?
In the late 1800s, there was a series of articles written in Florida Magazine about a politician that was tired of what was going on here, got a big ship and a crew, was exploring Antarctica, and he found a passageway through, and he popped out into the ocean, was lost for about a month. Finally, they found land with a city, and they pulled up, and it was a very advanced, quite different civilization, and very friendly, and they stayed there, and he writes about all the experiences he had there. In the late 1800s, they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica.
Remember, the word extraterrestrial means extra land. They're telling you that there's more land in here that they don't talk about.
There could be more land in some of the oceans where it's just all blue on the map. Nobody knows. You're not cruising around on big ships or flying over it on planes and looking, you know, nobody's out there charting anything.
Have you heard of such a thing as no-fly zones? For instance, you can't fly in certain areas near the Arctic Circle or the Antarctic Circle. The reasons being is because there are lands there that we're not supposed to know about. They don't want those lands to be discovered.
All these corrupt systems that are stealing money from us, kidnapping our children, just doing horrible things. They rely upon the cattle staying on the ranch, the slaves on the plantation. That's why Flat Earth is the most important knowledge we can obtain. It's because there is more land.
Don't look at us and say, go prove it. They won't allow us to go prove it. We're not the lazy ones here. We're being restricted from going to prove this to you. So because of that, of course we're going to speculate. It's a red flag. If that's not a red flag to you, I don't know what is. They won't allow us to go. Allow us to go. If we go and there's nothing there, I'll admit I'm wrong. But all signs point that they're hiding more land.
You have to have permission to do everything. You have to have permission to marry the love of your life. You have to have permission to travel down the road when we have the inalienable right to travel from point A to point B. You people think you're free? You're not free. You're free-range chickens. That's what you are. You're free-range chickens held in an area. You're not allowed to go past it. If not, you go to jail or you get shot. Stay on the plantation, do what you're supposed to do, pay your taxes, and shut up. Right?
There's endless amounts of everything, and there's so much more land out there, and there's many places to explore, and they just want to keep us here in the middle of the pond, stuck here thinking that this is all there is.
What happens to the price of gold and all natural resources if there's more land? Gold can't go to $1 an ounce. Gasoline can't go to 20 cents a gallon. We can all have, you know, thousands of acres of land to ourselves. The whole system crumbles. The entire system crumbles. Period.
On the other hand, we have the North, which is also off limits.
I went on my first official trip. I was going with my father and my grandpa Sinclair up to the North Pole. It was a very glamorous destination. I figured I was finally going to be let into the reason for the existence of this high security Arctic base. was exactly right. We drove slowly through and past the buildings on a special top secret mission. And that's when I understood just how powerful and wonderful my father was.
The North Pole is a biggie. It's always been in my mind. I've juggled with the idea, is there hidden land? Could they have possibly hidden continents in the Arctic Ocean, which is seemingly an ocean? They could hide land there. Many old maps will show you the Hyperborean, 4 continents, and in the center, Axis Mundi. And I think that's what's there. I think there is Mount Meru. And I think that gives off an acoustic device.
There's definitely something special going on up there, and if you just think about that long enough, why do compasses point north? I mean, that's really wild in itself. What if we all took our compasses out and just followed them until it stops?
A compass will always point north, towards the magnetic north. There's some kind of force or some type of energy, frequency, vibration that's pulling that needle to the north.
It's crazy to think that all compasses are pointing north to the North Pole. No compass points south. There is no South Pole. There's no compass that's going to go south. And no, it's come to the north. There's something there. I think we can all agree there's something there. And it's crazy that they cover it up. They've covered it up for so long.
There's ancient civilizations, the Nordics, there's people have talked about, you know, the Rupert Nigra, the Mount Meru, the giant magnetic mountain at the center.
An entire magnetic mass or a mountain that is strong enough to make everybody's compass point north.
When I was a kid in school, they showed us a National Geographic video of the guys that were getting to the North Pole, and they just basically made it look so horrible and miserable and dark and cold that no kid ever in his life would go, hey, I want to go to the North Pole.
So if you watch any documentary about the North Pole or anybody venturing to the North Pole, all you're going to find is some dude mobbing on an ice sheet, and he's got a little device in his hand. He's like, 3, 2, 1, North Pole. And that's not the North Pole, man. That's bullshit.
I just don't know what this is.
It's a map. My father showed me a map like this once. Inside this circle is your world and my world. Many others. No one knows how many. The Dark Tower stands at the center of all things. And it stood there from the beginning of time. And it sends out powerful energy.
Near the North Pole in the center of the Earth.
Admiral Richard Byrd said he found more land, in the north as well as the south. There's a book called The Smoky God of a father and son that ended up finding more land in a race of giants with technology beyond your wildest imagination. Cartographers have charted, maps with land in the center, where all compasses point. There's just a lot of evidence pointing to more land. So yeah, 100%. I would put my life on it if there's more land at the north. It's just as heavily guarded as the south.
Can't like go check the north and yeah, let me go check. I'll take some pictures and videos and come back. You're not even gonna get that close. You're gonna be turned around, the same as the South.
All the way up until the 1600s, they had 4 land masses around the North Pole region. And right after the 1600s is when it slowly started disappearing until finally it was all gone. And you can verify this for yourself if you just go back before the 1600s and look at maps of all sorts. You'll see these land masses on each one, and then sure thing, these land masses just started being deleted from history. So what are they hiding at the North Pole?
If we sit back and observe all of this evidence, this eyewitness testimony, the verdict would come back guilty. It would come back guilty.
Okay.
at 1,000 miles an hour in a curved trajectory. We're dropping at a rate of miles per minute, but somehow none of that inertia affects these rocks here, which are perfectly balanced.
The fact is, the Earth is stationary, and that is scientific, not pseudoscience. In 1879, George Airy, astronomer royal for 49 years, who did a telescope experiment and proved that the Earth was stationary. Then we have
Parallax, also known as Rowbotham, who carried out an experiment in the late 1800s on the Bedford Levels experiment, where he went at a distance of 6 miles, which should have showed up some sort of curvature of around 16 foot. No curvature was seen at all.
Then we have Michelson, Morley and Sagnac in the early 1900s with their interferometers using light instead of telescopes this time. And with their interferometer experiments, they proved that the ether over the Earth, the field, is moving and the Earth is stationary. We also had Michelson Gale. They did an experiment in the 1930s and proved that the Earth is stationary.
One of the greatest science experiments of all time, in my opinion, is from Marconi. Marconi, in 1901, set up transmitters to send radio waves, like signals, wireless signals across the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, okay? So he has one set up in Europe and one set up in Canada, okay? And they're sending signals, I think the letter S was the first one, boom, and it worked. Almost 2,000 miles across the ocean, they got the signal. There's no curvature. You're talking about 600 miles of curvature between the 2 points. But it worked because all water's level. I don't even know if he was trying to talk about that at the time. It was just more about his technology that he was coming out with. And have you learned about that in school? No.
Then we have Pierluigi Ghina, a colleague of Marconi. And before he died, he showed people in his laboratory how the Earth is stationary. You can go to my channel, Mr. Astrotheology, and you can see videos of Mr. Pierluigi Ghina proving in his laboratory with strobe lights how you can prove quite easily that the Earth is stationary.
Every scientific experiment throughout time looking for axial rotation or curvature has proven the opposite. They don't teach this in schools. Any observation, when you go outside on a calm morning, you can see a perfectly glass lake. And your senses will tell you that, nothing is moving.
We, stationary Earthers, we have science, real science, on our side, and the Globies have pseudoscience. In fact, all they have is Einstein saying, I have come to believe that no optical experiment can prove that the Earth is moving. And yet, the Earth is moving.
Science!
Yeah, Albert Einstein. I always recommend people go watch Albert Einstein in his interviews. He's reading cue cards. He's reading notes that someone handed him, kind of like people on TV nowadays.
There is no optical experiment ever been conducted that can prove that the Earth is moving.
The Earth is spinning at 1,040 miles an hour. You can't feel it. You can't measure it. You can't observe it. You can't repeat it. But trust us, there's not one experiment that shows the Earth is spinning or moving whatsoever. There is, however, an experiment that was proven in Behind the Curve.
Bob Nodell was talking about the ring laser gyro, showing that there is a apparent 15 degrees drift throughout most of the day.
When we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift.
And this was taken out of context. It was later, the experiment was done at a higher altitude, and it showed a different rotation speed, which absolutely proves it's not the Earth that's moving, that it's the ether that is spinning above us.
Netflix is mainstream. Netflix is the alternative mainstream narrative. Netflix can't go against the grain. They'll lose their contract.
A documentary, like a mockumentary. I'm sure someone watched our movie and was like, whoever made this movie is a government shill, and they're just trying to hide it. Netflix is in on it, trying to hide it.
Yeah,
he accidentally proves that the Earth is round.
It was the biggest mic drop. It was the biggest mic drop. And I love it. You kind of cut it. The thing is, we have technology that is outrunning their lies. Now we have time lapse. Ooh, imagine that. We have time lapse where you can point at the sky, and year after year, day after day, hour after hour, the sky's spinning.
Every day there should be different stars, random stars, in the sky if we are traveling at 650 million miles an hour, which is Mach 870,000. Do you really believe that every year we move through space at 5.5 trillion miles every year? And yet every year the same stars keep turning over our Earth. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, year after year after year, and yet none of those constellations distort, change shape, get brighter. There has never been, in recorded history, we have never seen any star get brighter or dimmer or any shape of those constellations, which are still recognizable today as they were thousands of years ago. They never suffer any parallax or distortion.
Polaris has never moved in all of recorded history. Point your camera up at Polaris and do a time lapse and watch God's perfect timepiece spin above you.
And we move 5,694,000,000 miles through space every year. Congratulations to you if you believe that. It's called education, indoctrination, and dumbing down.
If you look back in history, you got Universal, their company. They started off with a logo with a globe in it, but it wasn't until like the 1920s that they actually had the motion one where it was a spinning globe. And they actually had an airplane in the early ones, like leaving a chemtrail that said Universal, which is kind of funny. Nobody has been high enough to even see what it looked like. They were definitely trying to instill the image of a globe in people's heads because obviously early on in the movie industry, they were one of the most popular companies to make movies, so people were going to the theater and seeing this globe.
So they're showing you a globe before every single movie to program your mind. They were showing this globe before they even went up there to see what it was. I think the first man ever to go up and check is Picard going up there. I mean, that's a story we're not taught in school.
From the practical point of view, Professor Picard's experiment is of the highest possible importance.
These timelines, these dates, these are facts.
We got August Picard coming out in the 1930s in an actual publication by a science journal saying that the Earth looks like a flat disk with an upturned edge.
Besides Universal programming you, you had Walt Disney programming you with space documentaries for almost 15 years straight.
Some pretty crazy propaganda in the 1950s. There was one called Man in Space. He's talking about taking men to the moon in a rocket. And then if we cruise on, we got Richard E. Byrd. He goes on Longines chronoscope and he's sitting down and he's telling people.
Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Shortly after Richard E. Byrd did that interview, they put the Antarctic Treaty in place. And then 1 year later, NASA is established.
Almost 0 hour at Cape Canaveral, and enlarged 16mm pictures show a monkey specially trained and conditioned for voyaging in space. 2 monkeys had been selected for the job. They called them Abel and Baker, A and B, of course. In fact, the monkeys came down safely near Antigua. Reported none the worse, after blazing the trail for human space travel.
They come in and they're the gatekeepers for your mind. Like, they're making sure that people think that they live on a spinning ball. And that's their sole purpose, that it has always been their sole.
That is the magic of engineering. I would wear a mask on my face in a nanosecond, but unfortunately we lost the technology.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming.
NASA is hiding the frickin' flatness of the Earth. Why? It's okay to say, I have a fisheye lens, right? Because, yeah, fisheye lenses are useful. You know, you get more, you know, in architecture or...
Baumgartner jump out of the space capsule. Flat Earthers did a great job of debunking that. Of course it's a fisheye lens, it's not even a question. What most people don't know is that Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, the science priest in modern day, that everybody loves and they listen to him. Oh, he's so smart. Well, he is a smart man in the sense of he knows that we debunked the shit out of that.
And the dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, Felix Baumgartner, edge of space jumped. Now, you know, I don't. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he's like, wow, he's in space. Look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
So we put so much pressure on Neil deGrasse Tyson to come clean. He had to. We exposed Felix Baumgartner. That's a complete fisheye lens. There's no curvature at all on this Earth, let alone they're trying to sell it as 23 miles up, there's curvature. Even though people will sit there and swear they saw curvature out of an airplane 10 miles high. Yeah, okay. So your priest Neil deGrasse Tyson admits 23 miles up, no curve. How do you feel about that? All right, maybe you say that's no big deal. Okay. Even though Felix Baumgartner himself said he could see the curvature of the Earth.
It's almost overwhelming. When you're standing there in a pressure suit, the only thing that you hear is yourself breathing. You can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the sky is totally black. You can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the curvature of the Earth.
You can see the curvature of the Earth.
That's 120,000 feet, 4 times higher than most passenger planes fly.
So that should make you go, right away, what's going on here? Who's lying, right? But you don't think there's an agenda here? You don't think people are lying here? Fast forwarding to recently, Richard Branson, his ugly ass, Mr. Billionaire himself.
Officially the first billionaire to travel to space, so Richard Branson.
So you go 63 miles up, you would all probably assume that, of course, you could see this giant curve of Earth. You're 63 miles up, holy shit. Richard Branson supposedly goes up 63 miles, even though it's nothing but fisheye lens footage. We exposed that. Here comes Neil deGrasse Tyson again, damage control time.
Oh, by the way, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. Do you know how high up above the Earth he was?
No.
So if you take a
63 miles.
Well, yeah, say right. So take a schoolroom globe, and that's how high above it is he? So he's about 2 millimeters above the surface of a schoolroom globe. So nobody has seen the curvature of the Earth from that height. I just want to make that clear.
You can't see the curve out of an airplane, right? 10 miles. You agree? I hope you agree so far. Okay. So 10 miles up, no curve. Red Bull 23 miles up, no curve. Branson 63 miles up, no curve. So where is this curve at that you swear by? Because if you live on a ball, I don't care how big the ball is, it could be 4 times the size of what they told us, you would still see a physical curve at some point. That's what the horizon's supposed to be. That's how the sun is going. I mean, there's a curve of the Earth. All these theories involved with the curve of the Earth get thrown out the window.
That's what happens with a new company.
This is the fiction section. Fiction means it's a made-up story. Oh, hey, Elmo, I bet we can find your Galactic Gale comic book here. Oh, boy, Elmo, hope so.
We all know who our enemies are. They are called the globalists, with their false idol that they give children on the teacher's table at kindergarten the false globe of the global agenda.
People are just deceived. I mean, I grew up from kindergarten. There's a globe. My kids, you know, they graduated from kindergarten and it was a freaking globe. They gave them a globe at graduation to take home like an inflatable beach ball. And I was looking at that thing going, oh my God.
We are taught that the earth is a ball before we can talk. In school, there's a globe in the class. One of the first worksheets we get is a sheet on the orbits of the planets and the sun. And I actually still remember that sheet. I did it. I got it right. I was so proud of myself. Sesame Street has astronauts on, Disney. It's all globe programming. So your entire world belief is around this.
If you think about it, they've gotten us at a very, very young age with the lying. Before we have any critical thought, the capability of thinking for ourselves. They teach us lies from the very beginning, from Tooth Fairy, Santa, dinosaurs. You know, with Santa, for instance, I mean, we're taught this lie, you better be good. We need you to stay in line and be good. Don't be naughty, be nice. You want to be on that nice list. Santa will come and bring you these material gifts, and then fast forward, you find out Santa isn't real. For what, 5, 6, 7 years, however long the lie went on for, you've been conditioned a certain way, to act a certain way, so you'll fall in line. You'll do exactly what mommy and daddy tell you, what the teachers tell you. And when you realize that lie, it's subconsciously, you're taught at that point, it's okay to lie. It's okay to lie. It's okay to accept lies. It's okay for people to lie to you. It's okay for you to lie. So the whole world is a fucking liar. Everyone's a fucking liar now because they were taught at a very young age it's okay to lie. They get you with these lies of Tooth Fairy and Santa at a young age. So when you're an adult, you can't tell the difference between a lie and reality. And when you do find out it's possibly a lie, oh, it's okay. You're subtle. You're passive. You allow the lie because you're used to, it's okay to lie. You've been conditioned your entire life. It's okay to lie. It's okay to be lied to. So when the lie comes out, people are just like, okay, whatever. Got to turn on my Fox News. Got to go to the bar. Got to go watch my football. Give them bread and circuses, and they will never revolt.
When people hear